Emily Burr from Houston, Texas.
Julie Collins, Houston, Texas.
Tracy from Houston, Texas.
Okay. So let me. Okay. Okay. Can y'all hear me?
Yes,
Okay.
I can.
Even though I'm off camera, I'm trying to.
Yes.
They were supposed to be here by now, but they're not. So I have to work with what I have here. So what I'm going to do now is introduce our guest speaker for tonight.
You have some echoing.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Is your phone near your computer?
What now?
Is your phone near your computer?
Yeah, but it's not on. Let me move it. Yeah, okay. All right. Okay, now I want to introduce our guest speaker for tonight. Our guest speaker tonight is a friend that I met through Charlene. Live in Greensboro. And I met her through Charlene at her she had a conference there, and I went to the conference in North Carolina. So Leona Marie Zeno, our guest speaker for tonight, is a native of Brooklyn, New York. Her first introduction to the healthcare system came in 1972 when she left her Wall Street job at a bank and took a job as a certified nurse assistant in Brookdale Hospital. The hospital staff there encouraged her to go to college to get her nurse's license. Leona did just that, and in 1983, she graduated from Hunter Bellevue School of Nursing with a Bachelor of Science degree in nursing. She has held several nursing staff and management positions in the hospital setting and as a home health nurse after her move to North Carolina in 1985. Leona has been an advocate of health and wellness for many years and has given the nickname Wellness. She was given the nickname Wellness Woman by one of her past work supervisors. And Leona went into early retirement in 2009, but was soon called to help a colleague at UNC-G, which I can't remember what that stands for. And Leona vowed to stay 1 year, but she loved working with the students so much, her journey lasted 7 years there. And Leona retired again in 2017. However, she finds time to be on the board of directors with So Sad Story Ministries and Women with Vision Ministries. So, which are nonprofit organizations. She is also a member of her neighborhood watch team. Leona is here with us tonight to drop a few gems that she has observed as she relates to health and wellness. Her topic of discussion for today is keys to living longer, how to keep your temple healthy. So ladies and gentlemen of the Holistic Healing Circle, I present to you tonight, Miss Leona Marie Zeno, registered nurse.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. And I'm not going to go on too long with that little, with my profile. Last year was a year of reflection for me because I had 3 health issues that I really never did get any decent answer from traditional medicine. One was a neuropathy in my feet, which former years I was told I was a borderline diabetic. I didn't pay attention to the damage that it was doing. and the other was a sciatic pain in my back as it was related to a car accident. And then the third was discovered by a home health nurse. It was a problem with my thyroid. She looked right at me and she said, "Did anybody ever tell you have a problem with your thyroid?" I'm like, "No, I just saw the doctor last week. He never said anything." Well, when I went to the doctor, he quickly sent me to Wake Forest, and they did fine needle aspiration of my thyroid. And then the following week, they scheduled me for pre-op, and talking about they wanted to, cut it out and all of that. And then I prayed. When I found out that my cells were benign, I just refused to have the surgery. And that was 4 years ago. Me and my goiter is going to the grave together to this day. So I'm here moving forward. And with my plan of action, my gut tells me to share what I've learned, and perhaps maybe what I learned can benefit others, just a tiny bit, to encourage you to, or empower you to, take charge of your own personal health. Don't give all your power to someone else about your temple. And with doing so, let's start with first things first. Let's start at the beginning. Genesis 1:29 says, "Then God said, 'Here, I have given you every seed-bearing plant that is on the entire earth, and every tree with seed-bearing fruit. Let them serve as food for you.'" Well, does that not tell us what God's plan was for us in the very beginning? Well, it was. Hypocrisy said, "Let food be thy medicine." Hippocrates, I can never say it right the first time. Hippocrates, let food be our medicine. So with that being said, I started on a journey of search. What could I do to make things better? What could I do to help my situation? And I ran across a couple of different articles and books that really helped put me in a direction that I'm going to be following. In 17 days, I'm going to be entering the fourth quarter of my life. So I better make this quarter the best one I can possibly make it. Okay. I was looking at anti-inflammatory diets for dummies, that is. And the 10 top anti-inflammatory foods it talks about is green leafy vegetables like spinach and romaine and kale, olive oil, vitamin C, like in berries and kiwis, bell peppers, cauliflower, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, fatty fish, salmon, herring, tuna, green tea. The benefits of green tea are amazing. Fermented probiotics like yogurt, kefir, kombucha, and kimchi. Nuts and seeds, there goes that nuts and seeds again. Vitamin A rich foods like sweet potato and carrots, butternut squash, and zinc containing foods like in lentils and in oatmeal. Scientists now are looking at what is the cause of inflammation, and they're now linking inflammation to heart disease, arthritis, diabetes, asthma. Alzheimer's is also being touted as diabetes type 3. They're still working on it. Osteoporosis and other aging diseases. I just happened to get Dr. Mark Hyman's book, The Pagan Diet. And his book is The Diet, No Diet, because it's no diet. That's what it says anyway. And in this, Mark says, if we learn to view food as instructions that influence every aspect of our biology, and learn to combine that knowledge with joy, with the joy of cooking, there will be only pleasure and healing. In addition, he further states, functional medicine is the science of creating health. It focuses on the root causes of diseases. May I say that again? Focuses on the root causes of diseases. And food almost always plays a role in both the cause and the cure. That's Dr. Mark Hyman, Hayman. I found this other little book by accident, but it says back to basics. This little book goes as far back as the 1930s, when at that time there was a chemist who would actually work for the government and tell the government what foods was good for human consumption. Well, the commercial industry didn't like that so much, and they fired Mr. Wiley. And from that point on, that gave the commercial industry the go-ahead to do TV dinners, meals, like what we see now in the frozen fruit section, lean, I don't want to say, brands, because I'm not demining brands, but like lean cuisines and all those things, they're really not whole foods. They have chemicals in those foods. And the one thing that I really took, Jim, I took from this food, it was about 1928, Dr. Royal Lee wrote a paper reporting that tooth decay in children was related to poor nutrition. By 1951, what did the government do? And I know a lot of y'all weren't born then, but put fluoride in the water. Well, fluoride had absolutely nothing to do with the decay. The decay had to do with poor nutrition. The children were malnourished. So they got it all wrong, you see. And I got that out of the Back to Basic book. And also, the Food and Drug Administration claimed for years that whole foods, were not therapeutic, but Funk and Wagnall defined therapeutic as having healing qualities and curative values. The early nutritional pioneers believed that whole foods was the only foundation for optimal health. This made it possible for lawmakers in the Food and Drug Administration to start pushing commercial foods on us, and whole foods took like a back step, and so thus began our journey in eating foods that have absolutely no value to us at all. I mean, it's quick. Back in the 50s, I remember we had hot cereal every morning, and then Wheaties, the Breakfast of Champions, came out. Oh, my mother loved that, because pour some Wheaties in a bowl and some sugar and some milk, and we eat and go. But no more farina, no more oatmeal, just Wheaties. And from Wheaties, you can see where that took us from that point on up until what's on the shelves today. I mean, sugar, sugar, and more sugar. These foods have absolutely no nutritional value whatsoever. So what does that do to us? What does food really, really do to us? I mean, in the beginning, it was to keep us alive and healthy. But the way it is now, it's totally the reverse. I was reading Susan Pierce Thompson's book, Bright Line Eating. She was addicted to food. Her food of choice was cookie dough. And at the age of 14, this young lady went from cookie dough to mushrooms, from mushrooms to cocaine, from cocaine to meth. Why? Because the foods that she was eating was making her fat, and every time she gained weight, she went to a drug to lose weight. She's a smart young lady, and actually she is a neuroscientist. She's got PhDs in the psychology of the brain and cognitive science. And she did psychology for 16 years. She's a food addict. And she'll tell anybody, I can't even be in the room with cookie dough because she's a food addict. And what she studied is, what does the brain, an addicted brain, does to a person? Well, when I went to my doctor, I found an alternative doctor, and the doctor put me on a 21-day detox diet. And I said, well, whoo, that's wonderful. Way in the middle of the night, I would be thinking, what cookie can I get? And Susan brings out how your brain is your own saboteur. Your brain will tell you one cookie won't hurt, and the next minute you know, you're eating 10. So I had to stop eating sweets, period. Famous Amos was my cookie of choice. I left him in the car, and one day I said to myself, at 10 o'clock at night, Leona, if you get out of your bed and go to that car to get some cookies, you are an addict. I didn't go. Anyway, Susan Pierce has a website on YouTube. She talks about ways to stay within your healthiest body. She has a free app called Bright Line Eating. It's a Bright Line app, and she's got workshops, she's got coaching, she's got all kinds of things to help people with eating problems. And it's called the Bright Line app. And she has a 10-question questionnaire to determine whether or not you are a food addict. A lot of us may not even know that that even exists. So I encourage you all to go out to the Bright Line Eating website, or even look at her on YouTube and do the questionnaire, because if you're having problems, you can knock off 5 or 6 pounds, but before you know it, you gain back 6, and it's getting on your nerves, you're getting frustrated with that. Check out Susan Pierce Thompson and Bright Line Eating. I mean, it's amazing what you'll find out, and it may be able to help you. On another note of gut and eating, I ran across Dr. Jennifer Daniels in her book, Do You Have the Guts to Be Beautiful? And she talks about the guts and the microbiome and things that we can do to have a healthy gut. And she has just simple practices that you can do. She was a board certified doctor here in the United States. And when she found out that she could not cure her patients with traditional medicine, she started introducing little things to them like herbs and spices and different things that she thought, that she knew that would help them. And of course, the traditional medicine people did not like that. She will, if you see her on YouTube, she will tout turpentine. I know what you're saying. Turpentine is poison. This is Georgia pine gum spirit of turpentine. And I take a teaspoonful every now and then when I feel like with some maple syrup or sugar. And no, ma'am, I'm not dead. I'm very much alive, okay? The government will demonize whatever it wants to demonize. And this was in a medical reference book back in the 1800s and the 1900s. They used turpentine for rheumatoid arthritis. They used it for cuts and bruises and wounds. They used it for toothaches. They used it for a lot of things. And I'm not talking about the turpentine that you clean your paintbrushes with. I'm talking about pure spirit gum turpentine. It was in a reference book, and you probably would not, you have to search the archives to find that reference book. I saw it one time and I didn't write it down, and I should have. But turpentine is not as much poison as a lot of things we ingest. The other thing that she has that I really, really like, She has a Candida cleanse on her website that you can download for free. She talks about cleaning the gut and having diversity in the gut, and how the gut can really influence the body. When the gut is not happy, the brain is not happy. When the brain is not happy, you get depression. Well, you need to make sure the gut is happy. You understand? So that's Dr. Jennifer Daniels. On a more spiritual note, I saved this one for kind of like last because I love him. Deepak Chopra, healing, the healing self, supercharge your immune system and stay well for life. Dr. Chopra he's one that will tell you that the mind is not separated from the body. The mind and body is one integrated organism that communicates with all of the systems in the body. And it's a perpetual, constantly moving system. And his definition of the mind, because many students ask, well, what is the mind? Where is the mind? He said, the mind is embodied, and it's a relational process that regulates the flow of energy and factual information, which is data. And so with that definition, you know, you can figure out for yourself that the mind is not separate from the body, because the mind cannot just ascertain data all by itself. Dr. Ellington said, what we don't know is doing what we know, what we don't know what. So there's a lot of things in science that they're now discovering, whereas back in the day when I was in college, people didn't talk about the gut and the gut brain, and the gut being the second brain, or microbiomes, or even the fact that we're one big organism in relationship to a lot of trillions and billions of microorganisms in the body, on the skin, in the nose, on the tongue, in the gut lining. And so learning about the microbiomes and how to keep that balance keeps you healthier. And Dr. Chopra is into quantum physics as well. And he was talking about, I was listening to him the other day, he was talking about when you think, your thoughts create emotions, and emotion sometimes causes you to act in a certain way. So if you're thinking something that is not quite healthy for you, have your mind thinking of kindness and joy and compassion. I find that in Mrs. Sparks. She always talks kind and nice and joyful about people. And even when she's given a talk, it's always kindness in her tone and everything. He says, you know, hostility cannot exist in a place where you have compassion and joy, love and kindness. And so I like him for that. And he was also mentioning the fact that in 1 year, our cells, we replaced 98% of our cells of our body. And so this new body, my goal is to improve this body and make it new. Since it's already shedding cells and whatnot, let me see what can I do to make it more of an improvement in terms of whatever dis-ease I have going on. How can I correct that dis-ease? Well, when I went to this alternative doctor, she assessed me up and down. She went from my toe and then up to my head and then back down. First time I ever talked to a doctor that actually dealt with me as a whole. And once she gave me the 21-day detox, she put me on this light machine and did something with my back and sent me home with this fancy machine for my treatment. And I can tell you that neuropathy burning in my feet inside of 1 week went away. My back pain is limited because she put me on this machine that actually stretched my vertebrae. That's limited. Of course, if I get out here and just start doing something off the wall, I'll feel that tinge of sciatic pain. But as far as my thyroid is concerned, I went to my endocrinologist and I asked him, well, I've got this swelling in my neck. What should I do? And what should I take? He said, oh, we'll just watch it. And every time I go to him, he takes out his tape measure and he measures it. The last time he measured it, he said, I really think it's shrinking. My alternative doctor gave me a thyroid supplement. I don't have Graves' disease where you see people with their eyeballs bulging out, and I don't have Hashimoto's, that's the low thyroid. Graves' disease is the high thyroid. I think I'm somewhere in the middle, but I needed a supplement, but no one would tell me what I needed to do. I got iodized salt. I don't eat a lot of it, but everything that I do now is geared towards keeping my thyroid a little bit healthier, a whole lot healthier, because not realizing it, my thyroid talks to other systems in my body. Going back to what Dr. Chopra said, it talks to my metabolism. It talks to a lot of other systems in my body. And so I needed to be healthy so that the other systems, when they receive the message, is a healthy message. So Dr. Chopra also has done studies to determine that we're not just molecules. We are all organisms. Way back in the day, they thought we were just atoms and molecules and whatnot and so forth. But when you look into the gut, the amount of activity that's going on there in your gut, and the amount of bacteria and different organisms that live in the gut is scary. It's really scary. So with that being said, it behooves us to keep our gut in a healthy situation, because if not, then we are going to run into some real health issues. Our immune system, 80% of our immune system is in the gut. So that's no wonder why people get sick the way they get sick, because the gut is unhealthy and it cannot perform the way it needs to perform to keep you able, your white cells and your T cells, able to fight off things that are invading the body. So it behooves us to pay attention to our gut. The mind and the body are inseparable. Okie dokie. And just as a commercial, let me give you all this quick little story about thought. There was this lady, she was in the airport. And while she was in the airport, she stopped at a cookie stand and she bought a bag of cookies. She sat down, started reading her book. So then she put her hand in the bag and started eating some cookies. She happened to notice that the man sitting next to her was eating a cookie. And this went on. She would take a cookie, he would take a cookie. So the whole time she's thinking, the nerve of him. How was he raised? She wasn't saying it out loud because she didn't want to ruffle any feathers, but she kept thinking that this man has got some GD nerve eating my cookies. He's a cookie bandit. And she just kept on and on, thoughts in her mind. Finally, they got down to the last cookie and he got it. He got the cookie and he broke it in half and gave her the other half. She took it and she ate it, and they called her flight and she stormed off, just flustered with thoughts about this man. What in the world kind of individual can he be? She got to her seat. She put her pocketbook on the seat next to her and she happened to look, and there was her bag of cookies. She was the cookie bandit She was the thief. She was the ingrate. She was the person who had no upbringing. All the thoughts that she had put on that man came right back on her. I learned that from Dwayne Dwyer. Thoughts trigger emotions. And we know right now that our thoughts are entangled. My thoughts are entangled with you, and your thoughts are entangled with me. You're probably saying, this woman, what in the world is she talking about? I don't know. I'm not getting her, or, oh, that sounds interesting, or whatever. But we also know that even animals are entangled with us. If you have a dog or a cat, when they see you, don't they come up to you and ooh, they are entangled with our minds. And when we smile at them, they're happy too. So we're entangled with each other. And our minds and our thoughts are entangled with minds and thoughts of people that lived ages ago, because there's no thought that we have presently that was never thought of before. If it was, then you are a genius. Go get that money. Okay. But then we have to just ascertain or discern, where are the thoughts coming from when they start to get a little bit too negative. Then we have to think about, where are these thoughts coming from? Dr. Chopra says thoughts trigger emotions. And who do we know want us to have negative thoughts all the time about neighbors, our families, our loved ones, our co-workers? Who out there is constantly trying to put negative, bombarding us with negative thoughts? You're right if you thought demonic, because some thoughts are demonic. And when you think about it, back in the day, a lot of y'all are not as old as I am, but we had to say a prayer in school. Well, they took that out of the school, and now what's happening at the schools? So much killing and murder and all kinds of stuff going on in our schools. So I just want to just bring out the fact that, you know, there's a lot of demonic thoughts out in this environment. A lot of it. So that's Deepak Chopra, the healing self. And so that brings me to this little fella, and that's Jim Quick. Jim Quick was sustained an injury to his brain when he was a young kid in kindergarten. He was looking out the window. The class had seen something, and they all went to the window to look, but he slipped and hit his head on the radiator, and it caused him to have a brain injury. And he couldn't read. It delayed his educational thought process. Well, he was known in school as the boy with the broken brain. And of course, they called him all kinds of names and whatnot, so forth. But I enjoyed his book because I learned how to speed read from Jim Quick. Limitless is the name of his book. He works today. This man is rich. He worked with Tony Robinson. He works with actors to teach them how to memorize their scripts. I looked at him on YouTube. And a lot of these doctors I learned about from the School of Greatness, Jim Lewis Howes, the School of Greatness. And he will go into an audience and have people call out numbers randomly and then repeat it back in order. And in his book, he teaches you, he has a 7-day plan to teach you how to remember names and numbers, how to get rid of brain fog, how to read faster. And his whole book is, he said, there's nothing in the world that you cannot accomplish because your brain can do it. We put limits on ourselves. We tell ourselves from the lies we hear from other people that, oh, you can't do that. Oh, that's no, you have to have this degree or that degree or whatever be the case. That's not the case. You can do anything you want to do if you put your mind to it. I suggest if you have any grandchildren or children that are struggling with school to get this book and read it and help them understand that they can achieve anything they want to achieve if they put their mind to it and if they set up a plan, a program to succeed. They're not learning that in school. There's a lot of things that we have to do with our children because they're not learning that in school. Okay. And last but not least, because I don't know if my time is running out, is earthing. Stephen Sinatra and Clinton Ober. Earthing. Earthing is the process of being connected to Mother Nature. Back in the day, shoes were made of leather, and we walked more. Our ancestors walked on the ground without shoes. But with the invention of rubber sole, we put a barrier between us and Mother Nature. Lightning strikes the earth a lot, and that positive charge goes up in the atmosphere, and the negative charge goes down into the ground. We are electric. When we connect with Mother Nature, it balances us out. Now, I know you might be saying, that's a lot of foo-foo. I can look at expressions on people's face. That's a lot of foo-foo. But I happen to have a grounding mat that I sleep on. And since I have been sleeping on this grounding mat, I go to sleep so fast. And I have limited pain. I wake up without pain. I'm gonna be honest. I wake up without pain. And I had this under my feet as I was talking to you. You can get them for your bed. And you can look at Earthing, the movie, on YouTube and see how this cable guy came up with this idea of, if I'm putting this cable wire in the ground and it's keeping my TV from blowing up or having static, I wonder if a human being could be grounded. And he tried it on himself. He put a wire on his bed, he duct taped it, he took the wire and put it outside the window and stuck it in the ground with a grounding wire. And he had a meter to tell whether or not he was actually grounded. And it worked. Then when it worked, his whole world opened up, because now he's like, oh my God, I got to tell people about this. Well, when you look at the movie, Earthing, the movie, you'll see children who had problems, behavioral problems, children who were sick, people who were in wheelchairs. You'll see the whole phenomenon and how it has changed the life of many, many people. And I believe in it because it works for me. It works for me. Anything I do or drink or say, even right down to my teas, if I have pain, I'm doing white willow bark. I'm not sucking down 800 milligrams of ibuprofen anymore. If I have like a cold or something, I'm using my golden seal. White willow bark, elderberry. There's ways we can get back to nature. God intended us to live forever. And that's why he put those things in the garden for Adam and Eve to sustain their body with. I mean, we know how that went. We know that story. We know how things went. But is there not some kind of way we can kind of like get back to basics? If it helps, then I encourage you to seek out your own issues with whatever it is you're dealing with, whether it's addiction or weight loss or pain or whatever. Seek out, do that research. With the what do you call that stuff on the TV and radio? Social media. With social media, I've learned more in 1 year than my mother would have learned in a whole lifetime. And so it's no reason for us not to be as healthy as we can for as long as we can. And my goal is to compress my morbidity, be as healthy as I can in this next quarter of my life, to be as healthy as I can for as long as I can. And then when it's time to clock my card, boom, I'm gone. And where I go, who knows? Back to you, Sharon. And that's my story.
Very good. This is wonderful. Thank you. So I'm a reader, and all those books, it's not like I got to write the names down because we all got our work cut out for us this year with the books that you have mentioned for us to read. Some of them I'd never heard of, but I did know about the grounding and the earthing. But I want to open it up for questions and or comments from everybody. If anybody have any question or comment,
I have a question.
Unmute yourself.
I have a question. This is Belinda. Leona, you said the gut has the most trillions of cells in it. Okay, my question is this: what alternative doctor do you suggest I go to? Because a traditional one will just try to treat you, with traditional medicine.
Well, in Greensboro, because I went seeking out help for pain, I didn't realize that this doctor knew so much. I just went in for my neuropathy, and she introduced me to whole food vitamins, whole food supplements, and my iodine pills. So when you're doing your research, where do you live? Who Barbara?
Houston.
Oh, Houston. You're looking for somebody who basically will not use pharmaceuticals.
I can recommend a type of doctor. So if you want something like that, you want to go see a what they call a functional medicine doctor.
Functional medicine. That's it.
Your whole entire body, not just slap band-aids on little problems.
Yeah,
right.
Functional medicine. That's what you want.
Yeah.
Functional medicine.
And if you need a list, I guess message me on Facebook or whatever. I can probably come up with one because I'm.
You're in Texas, right?
Yeah, I'm in Houston. I'm
Okay.
connected with a lot of them through some networking. So.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Be happy to help.
But I don't think
Kate, I have a
Belinda's
question.
Belinda's not on Facebook, so you can send it to me and I can give it to her.
Okay, that's a good way to do it.
Sharon, you can send her my cell number. I know you
Okay,
have
then.
that. That'd be fine.
Okay, I can do that then.
Okay, thanks.
Hey, I had a question for you. You said that you have connection with a network of doctors. Do you have a naturopathic doctor that you can recommend as well?
So a functional medicine doctor is a little bit, I don't know if they're different. They're kind of the same, but I can probably dig up the whole list of doctors that were at the last meeting that I went to. So I could probably pass that along to you. I'll put my email and my cell in the chat. So anybody.
Okay, so if anybody know how to save the chat, there's 3 little dots on the side of the chat at the bottom. There's 3 little dots. You click that, it'll say save chat. You click that and it'll save to your computer.
Okay, thank you.
And or you can contact me and I can give you her information.
Okay, that's better because I don't know how to handle all that kind of fancy stuff.
And someone asked about the name of some books.
Okay. Spiritual, gut, stomach, diet. Which one?
Shelby, I'm not sure which one Shelby wanted. Shelby, are you still here? She might have had to drop off.
It was the one about I think the doctor.
I think it's Dr. Mark Hyman.
The brain,
Hyman?
brain. The brain.
The brain. Okay, the brain doctor, cognitive study brain neuro doctor is Dr. Susan Pierce Thompson, and her is The Science of Living Happy, Thin, and Free Bright Line Eating. Susan Pierce, P-E-I-R-C-E, Thompson, PhD.
If you'll hold the book cover up and then they can take a photo, that might help.
Thank you.
If they're not on their phone, they can take a photo.
Yeah,
of the
thank you
book.
very much.
Okay.
Got it?
Okay.
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 That might help. I don't know. But
Mm-hmm.
any other questions or comments?
I just wanted to say, thank you, Miss Z, because I always get educated when I listen to her. She's so smart and she knows, she has a lot of information, and I just really enjoy learning from you, Miss Z. Thank you so much.
I'd
Thank
like
you.
to know, I'd like to know where you got the grounding mat and how much it costs.
Okay, I got the grounding mat. I went to the earthing website after I looked at the movie, and I think if I didn't get it from Amazon, I got it from the earthing website, because they have a website as well. Let me do that. But I encourage you to look at the movie first, because it's really intriguing to see how he came across that and how it helped those children.
Yeah,
With
earthing
sleeping
balances the body, and I think
down.
they have 2 movies out about grounding and earthing. They have 2 movies. One that I watched, the lady actually lost weight from laying on the ground in the backyard.
Mm-hmm. Yes, she did. That's right. Because when Dr. Clinton went to see her, he said, "Oh, I can't believe how good you look." I mean, he didn't say how good you look, but how the transformation. And so it's Clint Ober. He's not a doctor or anything. He's the man that founded it. But Dr. Stephen T. Sinatra is the one who actually backed him up in it after they did clinical trials. They did clinical trials to see that it wasn't just a placebo effect, that these people were actually being improved by being grounded. Just if you just walk in your backyard with bare feet 15 minutes a day, that will help change your whole composition in terms of what's going on in your body. I while I'm sitting here talking to you guys, I'm on my grounding mat, but at night I sleep on it. I sleep on it because it helps me to sleep really, really good. I go to sleep because I used to suffer with, I want to say insomnia, but I don't want to say
And how
insomnia.
much is it? Do you remember how much it costs?
I bought 2 for $99.
Okay, great.
I wanted one for but see the size of the one that I have is just, this is the conductive side, and it's all right. Let me do this side. It's this wide, but it's about 4, I want to say 3 or 4 feet long. Okay. So from your hip down to your leg, but when my back was bothering me so much, I kept it up higher near my back, and I don't have any back pain. I'm not claiming that for 2023. It's something going on, but no.
Leona, I
Yeah.
ordered some for the self-care day from
Oh, did you?
Amazon, and we got a 22 and a 37 for the healthcare day.
Oh, wow.
So that was the prices we ordered ours for on Amazon for the young lady that was asking.
Mm-hmm.
Thank
Okay,
you.
Amazon. And in the movie, this particular lady who was 90-something years old and who was almost getting ready to be, you'll see it in the movie, she couldn't play tennis anymore. She was frail, she was fragile. And her son bought her one for her bed, and hers was a full side of her mattress. And that lady, when you see her taking that tennis racket and hitting that racket, and she's in her 90s or late 80s or whatever, I said, okay. So you know what I'm doing. So not that I'm gonna play tennis, but I mean, I might want to jog around the block or something, But
How
yes,
many books
look
did
at
you
the
show
movie.
us? Was there about 8 books that you? Okay. I know it was quite a few of them. So
Okay.
if you will send me the list,
will.
you can just, whenever you can, you don't have to
I'll
do
do it.
tonight, send me
Yeah.
a list of the books with the author, and then I'll forward them out to everybody.
Okay, all right, because the ones that I like, that I'm always into, I'm always looking at podcasts, are Dr. Deepak Chopra and Susan Pierce Thompson. Dr. Heyman I just got introduced to him a couple of weeks ago, and because he has a cookbook that goes along with his book. And I said, oh, let me try that. You know, my daughter has been trying to get me to get away from meat, and you know, I'm having a hard time giving up my bacon, and you know, I'm like, but after listening to him, I said, oh, let me get his book and see if there's some things that is worthwhile to me. And I think that in reading so far what he's talking about, I think that I will be moving more towards a vegan diet.
All right.
You know, after I eat up all that meat in my refrigerator.
Well, I want to thank everybody for being here. Did we have anyone that have any last questions that we just didn't get around to, and you still want to ask that question? You can do that now before I close the circle and blow out the candle.
Your hair is so pretty, Leona. What do you do for it?
My daughter takes care of my hair. I don't. I wish I could say that I have a hand in it. My daughter is a stylist. She has a shop, and she does my hair, and she tells me, Mommy, I got this hair growing, and so don't you touch it, and don't put no heat to it, and don't put no grease on it. And I have all these don'ts. I have a list of don'ts. And so that's all I can tell you about that. Thank you. Thank you. I'll tell her you gave her a compliment.
Well, thank you all for being here. There were some people didn't get to talk. Tracy or Victoria, you had anything you want to say? And we had, let's see here, who else came?
No, it was just great.
Gilbert or something?
No, just want to say thanks, Leona, for the information as always. And
thank you for being here.
Thank you for being here. Yes, thank you so much, Victoria, for being on.
Yes, and we had 18 people today, which was a good turnout. And you know, I know y'all could have been doing a whole lot of other things, but we appreciate you coming together and you know, for health and wellness and healing and learning more about how you can make yourself healthier in 2023. So thank you all. We will take the time now to blow out the candle and close the circle. Have a wonderful night.
Thank you, everyone.
Good night.
For your care, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.